Where the hell is the... There it is.
And we're back. So, hello to the girls and the gays and no one else. Do you guys like my plant? So I was at Wegmans the other day and I really wanted a plant to put in my room. And they were selling this pothos for, would you look at that? Can you see that? I don't know if you can, but $3.99. So I freaking got it because who wouldn't buy that? I hope you like this setup today. This is my first ever video. So this is gonna be a April/March TBR, which apparently I'm pretty sure that stands for to be read, but I'm not completely sure. So there are two sections. Yeah, there are two sections. We got poetry, and then we got fucking everything else. So let's start with poetry. You're just gonna like watch the plant just like slowly get smaller. So the first book we got is Dear Self by Ruby Dahl, not to be confused with Ruby Carr. No one is getting confused that. So I'm trying to do this new rule where I only read books written by women of color. Oh, you see? And Ruby Dahl, I was walking around Barnes & Nobles, as one does, and I found Ruby Dahl. She is South Asian, comme moi. And she just writes about stuff. This is a 300-page self-help book. It's, I guess, I'm gonna call it a poetry book because it was in the poetry section. So, it's a poetry book now. I'm just gonna read to you what it says here because I am not used to having to think for myself ever since quarantine started. Don't know what that is anymore. In Dear Self, Ruby talks about... I'm already failing at this YouTube stuff. So the next book, I'm sticking with the theme that I only want to read women of color. We have Morgan Parker. This was on my to-reads on Goodreads, which, go follow me there. And it is called Magical... Yeah, I don't think I could say that. And it's poems, as you can see. Pretty short. Love that. I need to go on to Goodreads again because I am garbage. So, from my understanding, this book explores the Black experience both on an individual level, written from a Black woman from Morgan Parker, as well as on a group level, as in the collective, and it's focused on America, the American experience, the Black American experience. It talks about loneliness, displacement, grief, ancestral trauma, objectification, etc., etc. I'm excited to read this. I saw this when it just released on Goodreads, and I was like, oh, I need that. So I got it. The next book is Citizen by Claudia Rankine. I sincerely apologize for not being able to pronounce your name correctly. This is a book of poetry and essays, so I assume it's a good collection depicting minority experiences in America. So I'm very excited to read this. The one thing I'm not excited about is that this book was $20. $20. When did books get so expensive? I'm all for supporting art, duh, but $20? Aw. Our final book in the poetry collection is The Girl and the Goddess, Stories of Poem and Divine Wisdom by Nikita Gill. Once again, following the trend of women of color. So, from my understanding, this is a story, but it's told in poems. So it follows this girl named Paro, who currently lives in the time period when there was a partition in India, ? And it has a lot of Hindu mythology Why can I not pronounce words anymore? I swear to God, ever since I stopped talking to people over quarantine, I can no longer pronounce words. Please tell me someone else is going through that too, because that would be sad. That would be really fucking sad if it was just me. So I hope it's not just me. And I just realized that this video is probably really fucking boring because I lost my entire personality over quarantine because I haven't talked to anyone. So if this is boring, then I apologize. It's gonna take me some time to become interesting again because I don't hang out with people because you're not supposed to. And when I do, it's probably over Zoom, so it's not the same. So I literally don't know how to be a human anymore. I just sit in my room on autopilot and I read. That's literally about it, but that's also a lie because I've only read 3 books this year and it's March. Actually, that's 1 book a month, but my goal was to read a book a week. So I am failing just like I failed last semester. And this is like, a story of this girl growing up, becoming her adult self. There are lots of cute little illustrations scattered throughout the book. This book is pretty lengthy. It's 330-ish pages, but it's all poetry, so pretty short, pretty fly. I need to sneeze. I sneezed. So on to the next category. This is the actual book section. I don't know categories or genres, so the book section. So the next book is The Body Keeps Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma by Bessel. Oopsie, I moved it. By Bessel van der Kolk. This dude named Bessel van der Kolk, who talks about trauma and PTSD. And he is a psychiatrist, psychologist, something. And he talks about trauma in this book, which don't we all have that? Especially if you are me. Part 1 is the rediscovery of trauma. He talks about how he was there once they started discovering. I started reading this, by the way. I'm on page 100. Correction, I am on page 89. How the understanding of trauma has evolved through, the discovery of PTSD and through brain scans and stuff like that. Part 2 is called This Is Your Brain on Trauma. It basically talks about what your brain goes through when you go through something traumatic during the event, and then afterwards a lot of people tend to relive what they went through, or the long-term effects of trauma. He talks about what that looks like and how that shows up in your brain. Part 3 is The Minds of Children. I assume that talks about childhood trauma more specifically. I haven't gotten there just yet. Part 4 is called The Imprint of Trauma. I'm assuming that also talks about the long-term effects, but focuses more on not the brain, but feeling, ? And part 5, the part where I am most excited to read, is Paths to Recovery. So he talks about what you can do to recover and heal and get better, and different things that you can implement in your daily life to untraumatize yourself. If that is even a thing, I do not think it is. There are 2 more books. No, there are 3 more books, but I have the physical copies of them, but I forgot to bring them with me, and I'm too lazy because exercise, nah. So instead, I'm just gonna put a picture on the screen somewhere, and I'm just gonna talk about it. So the next book is called The Surrender Experiment by Michael A. Singer. Bomb ass book, so good. So there's this dude named Michael A. Singer. It's a very spiritual book, and it just talks about how he decided in the 70s that he was just going to surrender to the universe, and he was not going to say no to anything that came his way. And he talks about how that led him from being a professor at university like a really like hippie ass professor at a university, to eventually becoming like starting this huge facility or movement of some sort and becoming a published author, a best-selling author. So the next book, there is also controversy around this book. It is called Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given. And the book basically is like a mini feminist book. It talks about feminism, it talks about, you know, the male gaze and all of that good stuff, which shit. When I was reading this book, I was like, oh, I bought the book, followed her on Instagram, and then I also followed this girl named Chiedra, who is the founder of the Saggy Boobs Matter movement on Insta. And right now, there is some drama around the book because Chiedra has claimed that Florence Given plagiarized the book from her. I don't know about all of that, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read both books and see if it's true. I just realized that I keep looking here the entire video and I should be looking there. Oh my god. Why am I like this? Anywho, and the last book in our collection, thank god, I'm tired of filming. I don't know how people do this. I can't do this no more. But the last book is the third book in the Sisters Grimm series. Now, there is a series called the Sisters Grimm where there's this girl named Daphne and this girl named Sabrina who are orphans because their parents mysteriously disappeared, and they go to live with their granny Relda and her friend Mr. Canis in this town. Don't remember, I think it's called like Fairy Tale Village. I don't remember what it's called. But eventually they become like fairy tale detectives, and it's kind of like a folklore fairy tale book. It's a children's book, and I used to read it all the time when I was in elementary school. But eventually I stopped reading it because I think it got boring. So I'm on the third book, and I am destined to finish the series. There are 9 books in total, so hopefully I can finish the series. Anywho, that is all that I have for this video today. Yeah, I honestly don't know if I'm gonna post another one or if I'm gonna keep posting. I think I am, because this was actually kind of fun. And it gives me something to do. I'm on spring break right now. Alrighty. Well, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to... What do those people say? What? Subscribe and like, share, comment. I don't know. Just comment at like a exclamation mark if you want. I don't really care. Do what you want. You have free will. Anywho, until next time, goodbye from my plant and I. Cheers, bitch. Peace.